Lime is a material that's been used for thousands of years. It was used by the Romans to build bridges, road, buildings, but during the Industrial Revolution, it was mostly replaced in construction applications by Portland cement. But because of the characteristics of the product, because of the calcium oxide, it's a very versatile product that is used for the production of steel and metals, but also environmental applications and water treatments. It's a very versatile product that is essential for the societies in which we live. Now we're back to the future because lime has a future and will be part of the solution to help us decarbonize. So when I think about the history of Graymont, and if I think about the values that have guided the company over many years, I can think about a few, but I'll talk about two. I'll talk about long-term perspective. So when we look at our business, the sustainability of our business, the interaction we have with our communities, our customers, our employees, but also our assets and the reserves that we have a very long-term perspective, and we tend to think through generations. The second value, I think, that is important is innovation. And this is very much the case when we think about our new products, which are low-carbon solutions that will help Graymont be part of the solution to address the climate change issue that we're all facing.
So we view innovation as an absolute and critical element to the growth of our business. The reality is the manufacturing environment where we exist today, it is solid, but it is not necessarily established with or where we can see significant growth. So innovation becomes a key and very critical path toward our ability to be able to grow our business and to be able to address what we would consider to be essential deliverables in terms of understanding and establishing the business, getting ourselves in a position to be able to address what we anticipate will be further carbon reductions that will have an impact on us and on our customers and on the customers that we hope to actually acquire and do business with in the future. So Graymont has been active in the environmental space for decades. We have sold products into a wide range of different market segments now for several years and for multiple different applications and uses. Our plan then is to continue to evolve and grow in that space, and in fact the shift into Greybond is a perfect example of how we plan to continue to be relevant in that space. Greybond consists of a variety of very specific materials that when blended together actually generate a significant degree of strength. Cement today is used in a wide range of different applications, very common in the construction industry and in mining. The addition of Greybond is fundamentally different than the current practice of adding, say, mineral fillers into the product. The difference is the ability of Greybond on its own to contribute strength. So the combination of these two materials is actually significant for end users. The other significant upside of the product is its ability to then also reduce the overall carbon emissions related to the material. By itself, Greybond is capable of actually reducing the carbon footprint of a common cement mixture by 10 to 30%. We are working today on developing other new opportunities, potentially involving other technologies, that will allow that carbon footprint to reduce as much as 70%.
Now, we haven't stopped to this internal innovation. We're looking around, and we've been in discussion with a company called Fortera, and we have reached a long-term partnership agreement with them, and we will be using their technology, which is synergistic with Greybond. So that's going to be another part of that product portfolio that will lower the carbon footprint of cementitious solutions.
At Fortera, we're focused on paving the way to zero CO2 cement. And to give you some context, cement is the glue in concrete, and concrete's the second most consumed thing on Earth behind water. And frankly, it's also what builds our civilization. The challenge with concrete is it accounts for roughly 8% of the world's CO2 emissions. And so while it's super important, it needs to really be solved from a climate perspective. So if you look at how traditional cement is made, the main feedstock is limestone. And the problem with limestone is actually 44% by weight solid CO2. The challenge with that is when you put it into a kiln and heat it up, you lose that CO2 emissions. So if you look at how nature forms its building blocks, the exact opposite happens. If you look at coral reefs and shells, what happens is you absorb CO2 and make a reactive form of carbonate that can actually be used as a cementitious product. And so what we figured out at Fortera was how to take a natural process but do it in an industrial way. And so the first step of our process is to take limestone feedstock, the same thing that already exists at every cement or lime plant, and convert that into lime. And that's really what the benefit of the Graymont relationship is they're a global leader in producing lime, that first step of our process. What we then do is add our technology or bolt our technology on beside their plants, use that lime to capture CO2 and make our reactive form of limestone. And when you do that, what you end up getting is basically this beautiful white powder that can be used both as a partial cement replacement or as a standalone cement.
So Graymont has always had a continuous improvement mindset since our inception. And remote control was just one of our next natural evolutions. So we've started with automation, started with process controls. How do we improve our efficiencies? How do we get more efficiency in our plants? How do we get better fuel ratios? How do we actually become more reliable with our quality production, our stability, and reducing waste? And as we have that technical perspective, looking at the instrumentation and controls, helping have a consistent view on how do we optimize our processes. It frees up time for our local people at the plant sites to focus on reliability, improvement, quality, and reducing waste. And all of those things coupled together help reduce our carbon emissions, our impact on society, and it helps us become a better operator. That's where we try to go. That's our natural DNA, is how do we become the leading lime producer in the world, and how do we reduce our impact?
How do we balance business performance with environmental and social considerations? But for us, we don't make a distinctions. It's part of how we manage the business. And again, I'll bring you back to the long-term perspective. We're not looking at short-term results. So we take a very long-term view, and it applies to the way we operate our plants, and it applies to our environmental performance. It applies to the communities where we operate. A great example of this is the park that we're in here today. It's called the Heritage Park.
So what Heritage Park symbolizes for me is it's a perfect combination of the three elements of sustainable development. It's the economy, it's social, it's the environment. Balance is very important in life, and this project balances all three. There's obviously the economic aspect. It allowed Graymont to continue to operate. It provides jobs in the area, but more than that, it built an environment. Wildlife roams. There's, a wonderful creek here that flows through, filtering the water that comes from the mine. So there's that aspect. There's also the social aspect of just providing a place for the community to come together.
So we have fully integrated the lime facility here in Bedford. And this is a demonstration of how we balance our environmental performance with our communities and with the imperative of running a business. Climate change is a big challenge. It's not a reason to retreat. It is a call to innovate. It is true for the industry, and it is true for Graymont.